Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope your week has started well. And what a difference a week makes. Everything is positive. Swindon have scored 5 goals, got another 3 points, 3 games unbeaten. What could there possibly be to be negative about? Well, I'm sure with tonight's panel, the answer to that will be absolutely nothing. We also have 2 very special guests joining us, as we've been advertising all day. So I'm looking forward to what should be a really upbeat episode of Fools Rush In. But before we get started, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Know us well enough now to understand that we don't pride ourselves on preparation or professionalism, but just to give an idea, one of tonight's panelists left the chair during the theme tune and has just left it blank. So we will wait for Ben to come back before we start the show. So let's all just, let's make small talk in the meantime. Unbelievable. Let's start by saying hello to the regulars, starting with a young man who very much enjoyed his trip to London at the weekend. Hello, Rich.
Evening, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Good.
Hay fever's killed me today.
Sorry?
Hay fever's killed me today.
Yes, you were saying off air, the pollen count, it's destroying people.
Yeah.
Rich, we do have a food chat question. However, I don't want to ask you it yet. I'll wait till all the panelists are on. Evening, Woody, I can see joining in the chat there.
Are you sure it's a food question or is it a drinking question?
No, it's a food question. But this question...
You didn't get the hint there, Fifey, did you?
No, sorry, mate. Clearly miles away. However... your specific intro question may well be a drinking question. I was going to save it for the end of the show, but really, I think now's the perfect time. Well, it's just me and you, one-on-one. No one's watching or listening. Can you explain this to me?
Fuck's sake. Oh, dear me. God, I was absolutely fucking shattered on Saturday. And I was absolutely steaming. So, yeah. I got asked on Sunday when I went to my game. All the parents were asking, "Oh, were you at the Swindon game on Saturday?" I was like, "Yeah." Do you remember any of it? No. Were you steaming? Yeah, steaming.
Standard Rich on an away day.
Well, when it's a London day in the capital, you can't go wrong. Especially when it's on the train, and I'm not having a drive for once. So
no, indeed. Well, we will find out how much you enjoyed it shortly, sir. But we've got some more. We've got some more panelists to say hello to, including someone who has almost certainly paid the admin price to be authentic. Evening, Craig.
Yeah, evening, Fifey. How are you doing, mate? All right.
Very well, thank you, sir. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on due to work and everything, and last few games, Swindon have been unbeaten while I haven't been on. So obviously, me coming on tonight's probably going to jinx it. Can I just say that I prefer the chair instead of Ben? So can we just keep the chair on instead of Ben? That'll be good, mate.
Just as wooden.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. I love Ben.
We love Ben, and you've been agreeing with Ben a lot today.
Yeah, twice in one day. I mean, I think it's the Euro. I should have bought a Euro Millions ticket. Oh, it's tomorrow, isn't it? So yeah, I might do that actually. Yeah. You never know your luck. Lightning doesn't strike twice, don't they? Or I think that's how the saying goes. But yeah.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. It's not a good start, is it? But I went for a run for the first time in a few months this morning, so I'm a bit I'm a bit all over the place.
What is going on with the Fools panelists? Woody's back at the gym. Craig's going for a run.
Yeah.
Shame.
And I decided to do it when it was pissing it down with rain as well. So yeah, it wasn't the best time, but yeah, got to get back out there.
Evening to Sean. Woody doesn't think you agreeing with Ben was wanted to be known publicly. Speaking of the man, it looks like he's actually returned to his chair. So let's say hello and good evening to Ben.
Hello.
How are you, pal? You all right?
I'm very well, thanks. Sorry about that. Old Magneto over here made me go make her a cup of tea. Just the credits was running as she always does, but she left it a little bit later.
Craig's loving the comparison to Magneto. Joe says, hey, you lovely lot. Rich is the best drunk I've ever known. He is so sweet. Rich has a fan. Let's say hello and good evening to the first of our guests, and representing Swindon Town with a story to tell us all a little bit later. Welcome back to the panel, Mark.
Evening all.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very, very well. Very well. Did you enjoy your trip to the capital?
I did, mate. I did. And the Archers and Fools always have quite a good success rate at away games. So, yeah, nice that it continued.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be discussing plenty about Wimbledon, but tonight's show we're going to do in a bit of reverse. And we're actually going to start with tomorrow night. And that is because our next special guest, and not just a fool's favourite, but a fan favourite of every team in League Two, the ultimate opposition fan, Matt Farley joins us. Evening, Matt.
Evening, chaps. How are you?
Very, very well. Thank you, sir.
Evening,
How about
Matt.
yourself?
Look, you know me. I'm absolutely fabulous, boys. It's great to come back on here and see you beautiful gentlemen. So, yeah, look, I'm great, boys. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Listen, before we get into all that, it has to be said, congratulations on the Stevenage Football Podcast winning League Two Pod of the Year. We were live.
Do you know what? I don't even know how we've won it because we are useless at doing the pod. Honestly, we are terrible. Just throwing it out there.
For us.
Oh, no, we are just terrible. But look, but no. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, that was amazing for us to have won that, and like having the season that we're having as well. It kind of all wrapped into one. So no, look, thank you so much. Honestly.
No, listen, it's great. We were live the night it all got announced, and as soon as we saw it was you, we were obviously, as you know, I was tweeting you congratulations and retweeted it, buzzing for you, mate. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Oh no, thank you. That means a lot, honestly. And no, do you know what I was saying to the chaps? There's so many great podcasts. So, like, do you know what, oddly, when I remember when Liam, we had a chat with Liam, and Liam said, "Oh, you've won it." I almost told him to F off. I was like, you're not seriously going to give it to us, the most positive podcast. I was like, you cannot do that. It was almost like we were rejecting the award because we knew that we're just useless. So it was, but no, look, it was lovely to get that, and yeah, but big for the club as well because the club's kind of we've had podcasts in the year, but over the years, but we've never we haven't had one really over the past kind of 5 to 8 years. So it's really nice to have got something like that, and big for the club, and the listeners are growing. And yeah, no, it was amazing to win that. Yeah.
No, well, again, congratulations to you and to everyone involved. It's been a big year for you, and a big year for the podcast, and a big year for the club. Obviously, we're going to talk about tomorrow in just a minute, but you must be, I think, you came on. You were gracious enough to come on just before the match got postponed a couple of months back, and and we kind of said there you seem to be riding this crest of a wave, and you're still riding that wave, aren't you?
Oh my God, I know it's been so nerve-wracking the last 3 weeks. It's obviously since we last spoke. I think I said to you guys last time that we hadn't had that inevitable blip yet, right? And it was like, when's it going to happen? We've gone throughout this season without any injuries, and it all, I think, seemed to be kind of too good to be true, actually, the time. And then, I kid you not, about 3 weeks after we spoke, that's when we hit the blip and we got the injuries, and everyone thought, oh no.
Mate, it's known as the fool's curse, because whenever we sponsor someone, they get injured. Whenever someone comes on, their team goes on a losing run.
I love that. You cursed us. You
curse everybody.
Do you know what? I'm blaming the blip on all of you. You should feel ashamed of yourselves.
We take full responsibility for your blip.
Thank you very much. Because if it wasn't for you, we'd have won the league by now. Throwing it out. Damn it, the Fools rush in. But no, honestly, we had the injuries, and I think, look, You know, we didn't have the massive squad as we've known this season, but we've battled, we've held in, we dropped down to 5th. I still believed. I was like, no, do you know what? We're still going to do it. And then somehow we're back in the top 3. Do you know what? It's really weird because I've never experienced a promotion race with my club. Really, well, certainly in the Football League, I've never experienced it, and it's really weird how you kind of go the whole season in the top 3 or around it, and then all of a sudden, with like a matter of 3 weeks, it just kind of just shoots you into it, and then it's like, oh crap, we can get promoted in 2 days or promoted in a week. Or it's really weird. We found that quite weird to come to, but yeah, look, we're there. We got 3 massive cup finals to go. 2 wins gets us promoted. I said,
that cliche.
Some hate it. I just, you know me, I just throw it in there. But yeah, look, 2 wins, and I cannot believe we get promoted. So I'd love the club to get that moment, to have that day where we go to the game, and you know that if we win it, we're promoted. So yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Forgive us if we hope to just delay that promotion party a little bit longer.
Do it on the last day, Matt. That's best. Always on the last day, mate.
Do you know what really annoyed me as well? Do you know what got me? Right?
I can't imagine anything annoys you, Matt.
No, it doesn't. You know me. I'm too happy for all of that. But we got back to the car Saturday, right? We got back in the car. We checked the obligatory results, and then we saw Swindon had won 5-1, and we were like, are you taking the mick? We've got to go there Tuesday and get a win. But yeah, honestly.
One of our regular panelists, Ned, not here this evening, unfortunately. He said at the very start, like back in pre-season, first of all, he said about how early you did the business, which is obviously a crucial point. But he said to us before even any of that was done, if Swindon signed Piagiani, he'd be a great defender.
He would be correct.
He would be correct, wouldn't he?
He would be very correct.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about Piagiani.
Oh, what a chap, eh? Oh, my God. You know what? So this really all first started actually a year ago, believe it or not. So we were, obviously, we were fighting to stay up. Yeah. And it was us, Barrow and Oldham that were in the mix because Scunthorpe were kind of gone before all of us.
Yeah.
And we played Oldham at our place. It was like the 10th last game or 9th last game or something like that. It was Steve's second game. And we lost 1-0 at home. And Piagiani, Pidge was playing for Oldham at the time. And he had an absolute blinder. And I remember literally the word of mouth around the club was, if we stay up, he's the first player we want to go and sign. So it was really weird how we got to the summer. I don't know if Big Steve listened to the Twitter uproar. I don't even know if Steve has Twitter, by the way. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Oh, if he had Twitter, you would know he had Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The abuse he'd be getting on Twitter would be night and day. But it was going around all Twitter. And then I remember May time, the club tweeted, "Oh, we're making our first signings today." And I got sent, prior to the signing, I got sent a picture. And, first got a text from one of my mates. And my mates went, "We've only signed Cole Piagiani." And I was like, "Oh, stop it. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. All right? We have not signed Pidge." And I kid you not, he then sent me a picture with him on the pitch with a scarf. And I was like, no way have we signed Cole. And then literally 30 minutes later, Bosch signed Cole Piagiani on a free Maya throw in there. I was like, oh my God. He's been player of the season. I think he got in the Sky Bet League 2 team of the year. Was up for the award at the EFL, was thoroughly deserved. He's been absolutely brilliant. And funny enough, actually, the player that he's been for us this season has been the player that we saw that played against us in that game for Oldham. So it's really weird how that's carried on. Yeah, look, he's been brilliant. He scored goals. He's been a vital piece in our team. If we didn't have him, I'm not so certain we'd be in the position we're in. He's a leader, and yeah, he's become a fan favourite. He's just been terrific. And do you know what? I'm so happy for him because he got relegated last year in a pretty failed side, and I felt for him because I know how good of a player he is and a defender he is. So the fact that he's gone from relegation to hopefully promotion, what an achievement.
I love that you're still caveating it as hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. You just never know, do you? Like, it's. Do you know what? I feel like we put the Bockers on it as well. So I think I said to you chaps last time we come on here, we booked a. I can't believe we did it, but
oh yes, you did.
Do you remember it?
Yes.
So back in January, we booked the Stevenage Football Club promotion holiday, and it was like to Ibiza. All of us 10 lads that all going. We're like, no, we're doing it, right? So as soon as we booked it, a week later, the injuries happened and the loss happened. And we were like, what have we done? And we're still hanging on to it. Like for the last 2 months, right? 1 week it's the promotion holiday, and then it's been the playoff holiday, and then at one point it was the survival holiday, and we were like, and then it went from the survival holiday back to the promotion holiday. It's like been a swinging kind of wheel at the minute, but yeah, look, we're hanging on, and yeah, look, Pidge has been a pivotal part of that. Yeah.
Well, we've all booked the distinctly mid-part holiday, so thanks for that reminder. I was, Rich was there as well. Nick was there for the away game. Obviously, we all know how Swindon have changed, altered, developed. What's different, but are Stevenage any different from what we saw from our away game, your home game earlier in the season?
No, not really. We're exactly the same as we were back then. We played the same way. Pretty much the team that played against you back then in October, I think it was, will pretty much be a somewhat similar team to what you'll see again. Obviously, we're missing a few players from injury. But yeah, it'll pretty much be the same type of style of play, same performance, similar players to what you saw. So no, nothing's really changed. Obviously, we've had injuries to key players. We're hanging on with strikers at the minute. We've only got 2 fit strikers: Luke Norris, Josh March, and Elliot Lister out. Lister's back very soon, but so we're hanging on with Jamie Reid and Danny Rose. But they're doing great. They've scored a good amount of goals this season. So yeah, it'll be all pretty similar. Just bar a few players, but yeah, you'll see a similar direct, bullyish style of football with a load of fit players out there and yeah, whatnot. So yeah, it'll be all similar. Yeah.
I've been flashing at various positive comments about you. Everyone delighted to see you back, but we've had our first question for you sent in, if you don't mind. And it goes like this from Stephen. Matt, seeing as Stevenage aren't one of the bigger teams in the league, no offence, do you think you would lose some of your main squad if you fail to go up?
That's a very good question, actually. Yeah, because it's something that we've spoke about in our pod. Well, I think the first thing is to kind of say is I think out of the whole squad, we've only got 1 or 2 that's contracted in the summer. So pretty much a lot of them are out of contracts in the summer. Obviously, I do believe there are extensions on contracts to have talks and stuff like that. So that'll go on. I think, honestly, if we didn't go up, I think that we might see some of the younger players that are being watched by teams in higher leagues. I know that we've had a few watching Luther Wilding and Terence Van Coot and a few Championship and Premier League people at the minute. So maybe those chaps might go. But I think the majority of the squad would probably stay. I think that the players have built a bit of a community here, and from the kind of consensus, it looks like the players are loving playing for Steve and loving where they are. So I think we'd keep majority of the squad, but there might be the opportunity where the Terence Van Cootens and the Luther might move on up the divisions to the Championship. I think Terence is being watched by a few Premier League sides, actually. I think the rumour is. But yeah, maybe those boys move on. But I think the squad would look to stay together. And knowing what Steve's like, if we didn't do it this year, it would be like a project to go and do it next year. And so I think the majority of the squad would look to stay if we didn't go up.
Okay. And from your side of the coin then, I know you said about getting in the car and seeing our result of the weekend, but what's kind of the Stevenage perspective of what you're expecting from us tomorrow?
Well, I think it's going to be a tough game. I mean, you just won 5-1, and I think, look, we all got back in the car and we're like, oh, for God's sake. Like, You know what I mean? Just lose. Just let us have it. Do you know what I mean? But no, look, I think it's going to be a tough game. It always is at your ground, and especially away from home on a Tuesday night as well. You know, so no, look, I think it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, I know that you chaps are, aren't happy with the season that you've had, and you've wanted to be right up there, as you should. And I know that's obviously disappointing for you. But look, you've got good players, you've got a decent side. I think you beat Bradford last week, and Bradford are right in the mix, and that's a great win. So look, you proved that night that you.
Liam will be delighted that you've reminded him of that as well.
Just wanted to get that right in. And by the way, do you know what's done my head in? Well, not done my head in. It's been great, but every damn week that bloke goes, Matt, we're gonna catch you, and I'm like. Liam, you ain't even catching Salford,
no chance.
let alone.
I kind of hope they do. I kind of hope they do, though. I do not want Salford in those playoffs. They do not deserve to be in those playoffs.
I know they keep nicking last-minute winners at the minute. That's the only issue.
Yeah.
But,
Then again, Rich, think about it. If Salford are in playoffs, then we're guaranteed 2 League 2 games on telly next year. Wrexham v Salford and Salford v Wrexham.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, that's true.
It would also be quite nice to see Liam's club stay in League 2. Just
it would, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? And he can go running around in a chicken costume again at the racecourse next season.
Yeah. He already looks like he's kicking off a fight with all the Wrexham fans as well. So that's quite entertaining.
God, the lower league should be interesting next year. Crikey. But no, look, it's I think it'll be a really, really tough game. Look, you just won 5-1. You'll want to end the season well and get as close to the playoffs as possible so that can build for next year. So yeah, look, it's going to be a tough game for us. We really need to be on it. We know what's at stake for us. So we're expecting a really tough game tomorrow. Yeah.
Mark, from your perspective, what are you expecting from Stevenage?
I don't know, to be fair. I never thought we'd beat Bradford, to be honest. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tough. They're a physical side, aren't they, at the end of the day? But I don't know. I think if the lads can carry on from what they've done, I think it'll be a tough game. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a draw, to be fair.
And Craig...
I've done that earlier.
Sorry, mate.
I've done that earlier, haven't I?
That's all right. It's fine. We'll come back and we'll ask it again. You might change your mind by the time everyone's had their say. You might change your mind. Craig, Matt makes a great point about how our results are picked up and we'll be looking to end the season strong. Can you see us building on the last few results tomorrow night?
Well, I'd like to hope that we would, but I think it's going to be tough. Steve Evans is a winner at the end of the day. I said, when Garner left, I'd want him as a manager. Half our fan base hate him, but I would have taken him this season, and he probably would have got us up, I reckon. But yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it? Because we are on this run, and obviously the pressure's on for Stevenage.
And they do run. It's free.
Well, yeah. I mean, for us, it's a run, isn't it? But see, that's me being positive. I don't know what's going on. But they seem to struggle a bit away from home. Their away form's not too good, is it? So they've lost a few. I think the last win away was about February time, wasn't it, Matt? I think. So,
yeah, it was end of Feb at Wimbledon. Yeah.
Yeah, so
but everyone wins away at Wimbledon.
Everybody,
that doesn't count.
By the way, they are terrible at home. I swear, whenever they play home,
that's so bad.
But plus, like I said, our fans they hate Steve Evans, and I think he'll thrive on that. He'll thrive. He's the number one shithouse, isn't he? And our side's very weak mentally and physically, and I think that they'll just that will tell tomorrow. And I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close because of the improved performances that we have been putting in. But yeah, I think the physicality of Stevenage and just that winning mentality that they've got, and the promotion is on. It's just round the corner for you guys, isn't it, Matt? So it's within touching distance, and I'm sure Steve Evans will have those players motivated tomorrow to go and get the result that you need.
Rich, let's come to you then. What are you expecting from Town tomorrow? To as the home side to kind of set the intention, or give Stevenage the respect they deserve and just try and absorb the pressure and hit them on the break?
Well, I'm still expecting us to concede from a corner tomorrow, so that would be pretty standard.
It's no secret
You'd have to be a rocket scientist to know that, Rich.
No.
I know, right?
Steve Evans has had to do no research. It's get the ball out wide, cross it to the back post, certain goal.
Bloody zonal marking. Just, oh God, the amount of corners we must have conceded under Jody Morris. That's for somebody to find out, actually, how many goals have we conceded from a corner from zonal marking since Jody Morris has come in.
It's got to be 6 or 7 now, surely.
It must be. Yeah, it's getting beyond the joke now. And it was a bit disappointing that we had to concede really early on from something like that, which is really, really disappointing.
It's just a good job Piergiani isn't known for scoring goals with his head, isn't it?
I know, right? Oh, dear. What am I expecting, to go back to the question, what am I expecting? Obviously, as the other boys have said, yeah, definitely expecting a tough game. Stevenage are where they are. They've proven that all season. They had a great start to the season. They did sort of like Leyton Orient, but not quite as well as what Leyton Orient did, having that 20-point comfort blanket. But either way, Stevenage have done absolutely fantastically well. They dominated us during their home fixture against us as well, and they thoroughly deserved that. We weren't at the races that day. We need to be at the races tomorrow, even though we've got nothing to play for. Obviously we're going to try and stop them from winning. So, I think Morris has got the bit between his teeth now. He's obviously got 2 really, really strong, really good, convincing results against Bradford and against Wimbledon. So we're going to thrive on another team that's going to be that's in the top 7, and we're gonna want to win. And you know what? I think if Jody Morris does win tomorrow, hopefully he can take that into the final 2 fixtures of the season. And then, do you know what? I personally think that would be. It won't be successful terms altogether for Morris, but to win the last 6 games of the season, 5-6 games in the season, is very, very good. So, and it gives us a little bit of confidence that he might be able to get something next season with a pre-season and a summer transfer window of recruitment. That gives a lot of confidence. So, I personally, in terms of the team tomorrow as well, I wouldn't change too much of it, because I think you've got to keep a winning squad. Especially the way that we won 5-1 on Saturday, and especially if that means benching Charlie Austin again. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rich, do you think he'd do that, though? Do you think he would
he benched him against Bradford? He benched him. Well, no, this would be the 3rd game in the row, because he benched him against Bradford, benched him against Wimbledon, and then he'll be benched against Stevenage. So who the hell knows? But yeah, why would you change it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
But it's obviously Austin's come in. Clem Morfuni's brought Austin in, hasn't he? And, I imagine there must be some sort of pressure to play him. I'd have thought, but
and it's not like I've got anything against Austin either. I don't think he's been as bad as people have said he has been. At the end of the day, he's still scored a lot of goals.
He can't drop Wakelin and Jeffcott after Saturday, because that would just send out the wrong message, wouldn't it? So
absolutely, and I think in terms of obviously Jeffcott as well, he hasn't had the most successful spell here either, but the last couple of games that he has started in, he's thoroughly deserved to keep his place, and that's no different to tomorrow. He absolutely deserves to be starting tomorrow. And hopefully he can keep up this bit of form that he's got. So he took his 2 goals. Well, obviously one of them was a penalty, and the other one was an absolute gift. But you've still got to put it in the back of the net at the end of the day. And he took them very, very well on Saturday. So, yeah, fair play to him, and hopefully he can keep it up. And that goes for the whole team as well. The whole team needs to keep going for the full 90 minutes.
Woody makes a great point in the chat. He said he dropped Adeloy after he scored. Ben, let's talk about the battle on the touchline. Then we've been it'd be wrong to say critical, but we have questioned a few of Jody's decisions since he came in. But in the last couple of games, he's gone up against experienced people in the likes of Mark Hughes, got a result. And now he's got another case like that with Steve Evans. So while the performance is starting to get better, do you think he'll be able to? Obviously, he's learning on the job, but do you think he'll be able to outmaneuver another vastly more experienced manager?
Me, yeah. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I'm actually quite excited for it. For a dead rubber, that is for us. I was
going to say, I don't think Matt would call it a dead rubber.
Oh, no,
for us, it's a dead rubber. But I think Morris is quite keen to carry on this run as he solidifies, firstly, his place in the club itself, because last thing Swindon want is to be scratching around for another manager yet again in the summer, disrupting pre-season. And our quest for the ninth place continues. I think from Stevenage's point of view, getting to the line is one thing and crossing it is another. And I think that's probably something of their recent foes. Now they're finally there in the realization that promotion's touching distance away. You get sort of the yids a little bit, I think. Is it called the yids? When
it's not Spurs fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Spurs fans.
When you start, form starts to wobble a little bit just as you're getting across the line. And I think we're in for a good, because I think Swindon are outright are just going to try and win the game. I think they're going to try and finish with 5 straight wins on the spin. And I think it's a great test on how far we've come over the last 2-3 weeks on where we are. If we can pull off another victory, then the shot in the arm that gives the fan base, that gives the club and Morris would be... it was a joke, Woody. It was a joke. Quest for 9th. I don't think they've got 9th place on the wall and they'll touch it as they walk down the tunnel.
The Crystal Palace 12th place trophy.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be doing that. But it's nice to fit. If Bradford finish 8th and Swindon finish 9th after getting all the jibs of just finish 1 place below Bradford, would be quite nice. I hope Liam, you watch him.
He is around.
He is around. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it could go either way. I think it's gonna be. Well, I'm not gonna say what I think is gonna happen, because we're doing that later. But I think it's gonna be tight, and I think it's gonna be edge of the seat stuff.
Well, while we're talking, you make a great point, and Matt, I'll start with you on this question, but I'll go around all the guys and ask. And Kira makes a good reference there, saying jitters is probably the word you're looking for, Ben.
Yeah.
Forget Stevenage for the moment, and let's all just take a moment and consider Northampton. Never mind jitters. Do you think there's just a bit of them after what happened last year that are thinking, fuck me, not again, please? What do you reckon, Matt?
God, but no, it's a great point. And you know what's really interesting as well? And when we, this was about a few weeks ago when we were looking at obviously we do our fixtures, but looking at all the other fixtures. Yeah. And I said to the boys, I said, oh no. Do you know what I've just noticed? They went, what? I went, well, obviously we're in this promotion race. It's all very tight. And I said, so Northampton last year when they went to Barrow on the last day, and it was a fast. They didn't go up when obviously Bristol Rovers won 7-0. And they went, yeah. I went, we've got Barrow away on the last day of the season too. So it was like, oh no, it's not going to kind of manifest into something similar, is it? But yeah, look, no, I think. For us, just is a good word. How do I say it? I think for us, we're all a bit still in dreamland. It doesn't really feel kind of real that we just need 2 wins to mathematically do it in 3 games. Mm-hmm. So I do think maybe the little bit of the jitters, but I think with our team as well, unfortunately, with all the injuries and the football we've played, they kind of run out of steam for the last couple of months. But as a fan base, yeah, very jittery, very jittery. We look at it and we're like, because I think one of you made a good point earlier. Our away form, so our home form's great. We've got like 50 points at home. We've got 16 wins, but the away form we've got like I think it's 5 wins and 12 draws. So we draw a lot away from home. So we're looking at the fixtures and we're like, we've got 3 to go. We've got Swindon away, Grimsby at home, and Barrow away. Well, 2 of them are away. So we're like, we know that we'll probably beat Grimsby at home. I think that's nailed on. But it's whether we can win against yourselves and Barrow away, and that's the big kind of talking point. But yeah, look, it's nerve-wracking exciting. For me, look, guys, you know me. I'm just happy to be involved and have the moment of possibly getting promoted. We have been useless for 4 years, and we've been down there fighting to stay up all the time. So it's just great to be there and experience it, really.
Yeah, but it's a proper fairy tale story, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
like you said, because you've been struggling.
When you say a proper fairy tale, do you mean like the Wrexham one?
Yeah, obviously I was saying. Obviously, that's where I was going. Frankly. You didn't need to explain it, but yeah, but it is though. That's what football's all about, isn't it? You know, it's kind of like with Barrow when they got promoted from the National League. That was a fairy tale story because they did it playing out from the back and playing really good football, and it's the same for you guys. How you've turned it around. So yeah. I mean, I'd love to see you guys go up, and that'll be great. And hopefully you can compete in League One, which I think under Steve Evans you probably will. To be fair.
No, that's nice of you to say. Honestly, the club's heavily a lot of my life, and the past kind of 7 years. I was saying to a few chaps back in the day, I just used to go to the game and then go and watch Stevenage and then go home after. But the last 6-7 years, it's really become my life. The club have met friends through the club that I've got for life. And, excuse me, we go and do like little city breaks whenever Stevenage play, where we just did Nottingham for Mansfield. And we have all that. And, you know, I've spent we've been majorly bad for 4 years and obviously COVID, but that 4 years of going every single game, watching them lose every single week. And if I've always wanted to see my team dream and have something like promotion, I never thought I'd ever see it. I thought maybe we'd eventually get relegated to the National League, which we were technically 3 years ago. We got kept up. But I never ever thought I'd get to see my team doing the things we're doing and possibly get promoted. And so yeah, look, it's an absolute fairy tale for all of us. And yeah, we're just so happy to be going through it, really. Yeah.
On the flip side of Craig's comment, we've just had this one in from Sean on Facebook. I think he says it with the utmost respect. I don't want you to go up. The league is too northern as it is.
To be fair, it's like next season possibly with although you'll have a local game against Forest Green though, so at least you'll have the the vegan derby back, as everyone calls it.
Grass munchers.
So yeah, not terrible. You'll have a few games near you. You got Forest Green, Newport. There'll be a few. Yeah,
well, Newport is our local derby this year in a different country.
Season.
So there's every chance of Oxford next year as well.
That's it.
Rich, just on that original point, if you were looking at both camps as a neutral, you can understand Stevenage fans' position, but if you're a Northampton fan, are you a bit jittery as well?
I think anybody in that top, obviously apart from Leighton Orient now, but anyone in that top 4, it's anything to play for, really, isn't it? I think it's going to get very interesting. Obviously, I think Stevenage have a game in hand as well, don't they?
It's against you.
We are the game in hand.
That's the game in hand. Right, okay. Yeah. So, no, exactly. I think it's everything to play for. I think, if you're a Northampton fan, especially with Carlisle not too far behind as well, they're 4th place at the moment as well, aren't they? And they're only like a couple of points behind too. So it's and Stockport. Stockport are 4th, Carlisle are 5th, aren't they?
And they're 5 points behind Northampton. They are. So it would need either one of those teams to win both their games in order to overtake Northampton. I think. I mean, I would say it would take something amazing for Northampton.
But yeah, I mean, if Northampton fold it. I'd love it if Northampton bowled it. And to
Well,
be
they've
fair,
got-
that'd be ideal for us as well, because again, that's quite a local.
Someone
game for
fairly
us as well,
close.
so-
Do you
They've
know
got
what? To be
Bradford.
fair,
Fairly close.
to be fair as well, I think if they win Saturday, they're promoted, but it's against Bradford.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. So it's and they've got a lot of injuries, Northampton. So keep an eye on that, because
They
they
got
lose
Bradford.
that, they're really in it.
An
It'd
away
be
game.
textbook.
It'd
It'd be
could
textbook
it, mate.
Bradford, wouldn't it, to beat Northampton, to slow them down, and then lose to an already promoted Leyton Orient.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's who they've got on the final day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mikey, can I just go back to? Sorry, just to drop on Wimbledon very quickly.
Yes, please.
So Wimbledon are the team that have dropped the most points from winning positions across the top 4 tiers in England since 21-22 season. Do you know how many points that is?
I would hazard a guess at somewhere in the region of 42.
Nowhere near it.
Is it in the
It can't be
100?
higher. It can't be
100
higher.
plus?
77.
77 points dropped from winning positions.
Yeah, I'll send it to the group chat.
Me.
77 points.
Dropped from winning positions.
What on
Since
this season?
21-22. Since 21-22, Ben.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I was gonna say-
That's only last season, Craig.
Yeah.
Wow, unbelievable. Matt, before we go around and do predictions, looking further ahead to next year, on the assumption, and I know you would like me to use the word assumption at this point, that Stevenage are promoted and they're a League One side, what would be the advice to help Swindon get a blueprint to mimic that next season?
Do you know, that's a great question. I got when we beat Doncaster a week ago on Tuesday, I got asked exactly the same on Chow's Doncaster Twitter space, and I'll say the exact same answer that I said to the guys in there. So the one thing that I've learned from this year is, number one, it is all about the manager. You've got to have a well-experienced, successful winner in charge. Number one, I think that's been the one thing we've learned. You've got to get the manager right, and then along with that, the manager's got to have an identity of football that he believes in, that he can get the players to believe in too. And I think that was the other thing. I think when we got Steve and when kept us up coming to this season, he had a very clear idea how we were going to play. And he signed specifically the players to be able to play the way that he wanted to, which was important. Get the right players in for the identity that you want to play with. And all the other bits that I said to the guys at the Doncaster thing, and I said to you guys, number one, make sure you've got good home form, have a platform, win the majority of your points at home.
Oh, well, that's promotion out the window next year.
Years.
Honestly, if you can, I mean, I'll give you a stat, right? So we've got 21 wins. 16 of them are at home this season.
It's unreal,
That's right. So we worked out, if we took away half our home points, if we took away 25, we'd be 10th. So that home form is the difference of you being right in there and not. So make sure you've got good home form. Make your ground a bit of a fortress, so when teams come, you think, oh, don't want to go and play there on a Tuesday or a Saturday. Make sure that your team's incredibly fit. Make sure that they go to the very last whistle of the game. The amount of last-minute goals we've scored this season, we've got a really fit bunch in every game we've played, regardless of if we've lost or won or drawn. We've always, at the end of the game, been knocking on the door for a goal. It even happened at Mansfield Saturday. And I think if you get those bits right, you'll do very well in the league. I always say, make sure that you've got a very strong back line. Your home form's good. You've got the right manager. You've got a good identity of football. You're hard to play. If you just get all those things right, you can be successful in this league. But it all starts with the manager. You have to have the right guy for what you want in charge. And if you've got that, a bit like Leyton Orient with Richie Wellens, he's the right guy there. Louis Dunn, John Brady at Northampton, Steve Evans with us, Challoner at Stockport. If you've got the right guy in charge who understands what he wants to, you can do well in this division. But you just have to get the right guy involved.
Can you tell Robin Clem that, Matt?
Are they disbelievers? Are they?
No, not at all. I don't think so. Not that we believe. In fact, Rob's a Swindon fan, and he was brought in as CEO. So, he's got a great attachment to the club. So, and obviously with everything that we went through over the last couple of years ago, Clem pretty much practically saved our club. Well, no, he did save our club. But it hasn't, like we've said, in the way that we've acted a lot this season, it hasn't been all, hunky dory really. So, but like I've said, I think they've made mistakes this season. But in business, you make a lot of mistakes. So it's about how you come back from it next season, and hopefully they do get it right next season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and it's all about getting winners. You want winning mentalities. Like our team, a lot of the signings we made, like I know Pigiani was relegated last year, but if you look before that, the amount of promotions he owned with Salford. So Pigiani, Danny Rose, Jordan Roberts, Dan Sweeney, who just won the league with Forest Green. When we went through the signings that we made, we actually brought winning mentality players who have recently, not over the last 10 years, but recently, the last 2 years of experience being at the top of leagues, competing for promotion, winning league. Like, you've got to get that winning mentality in the side as well with the players that you recruit, rather than lads that might have
and that's
done
what we had
years.
under. We had that under Richie Wellens when we won the league a few years ago. We just had winners in that team. Obviously, Owen Dawes scoring ridiculous amount of goals. You had Jerry Yates. We had the chemistry as well. We had the connection in that group as well with Anthony Grant, Jai Simi, all the players in that squad. Michael Doughty. They just wanted to play football. They just wanted to win games. And when you've got somebody like Richie Wellens at the helm as well, who just wants to win football matches, then that always massively helps. And that's why we were like at the start of the season that Leyton Orient, we reckon that Leyton Orient were going to do well.
Yeah. And again, when you look at the type of managers that are in charge of those teams, they're successful managers, So,
Well, on the point you made, Matt, this will give you an idea of where a decent percentage, I would say, of Swindon fans are on that particular line of thinking. So starting with Mike, closest I can see the CG being a fortress is if they build turrets in each corner. Knight and King on the comment about having the right manager says Jody has no experience, sees that as a big problem. We're on the flip side, something a little bit more cheery, matching your personality map. Our good friend, Real Paddy Stavros, has tweeted in, at Fools Rushing, good evening, comrades. I think there will be goals tomorrow night. We'll punt on 3-2 either way. I have it on good authority that Steve Evans will burst into a Paddy Stavros shuffle dance routine if they score tomorrow night, topped off with a triple backflip.
You imagine Steve attempting a double backflip, by the way. I think
that'll finish him
I don't
off.
want to say it's impossible, but if you're looking at things that are near on impossible, I would put that in my top three probably. By the way, I just want to throw in there actually. He might not be in the dugout tomorrow. So the last two games he's been in the director's box. Now I don't know if it was a cop out for Mansfield, but last Tuesday when we played Doncaster, he was ill, and so he sat in front of our chairman, and it just so miraculously meant that we had Mansfield away on Saturday where he's hated, and he was up in the director's box and left it to Rayner and Rev. So I don't know if
it's also springtime where the better hospitality food comes out.
Yeah, probably what it is. The buffets are bigger, more budget. After the tax year, But yeah, no, we don't know if he's going to. I'm assuming it was a bit of a cop out for Mads, but I think he'll be back on the bench tomorrow. Yeah.
Quick one on you, actually, Matt, if I can. Again, I'm very appreciative of your time, and I won't keep you too much longer. Obviously, it was the London Marathon yesterday. You're known for your heroic efforts of endurance. Have you got anything coming up anytime soon? You're traveling the world doing any sort of marathon running?
I am, but it's not a marathon actually. So I'm back doing my competitive running again, which okay. I love the marathon running. It's my favourite, obviously, and doing London and Brighton were great. And the next marathon I want to do, I really want to go over and do Boston or New York maybe next year.
Nice.
So that's one that I'm and hopefully get a charity in, try and raise loads of money and stuff. But at the minute, no, I'm back to my competitive racing. So I'm actually flying out to Jersey in 3 weeks. So it's really weird, actually, because our Stevenage, we always get a pre-season tour there. So it'll be weird going back there if we're promoted after. I remember being there in July and it was like, are we going to have a good season? But no. So basically, in a nutshell, this Jersey race last year, it was one of my competitive races. And you get a lot of people from Spain and France that fly to compete. And I remember last year, I worked out my times and it put me in the top 4. But I had to run a perfect race on race day to win it. And there's 3,000 runners. So I went out and I was second and third for 5 miles. It's an 8-mile race. And I remember if you finish in the top 3, you win a bit of prize money and you get this credited like professional athlete thingy, but I don't even know what it was. And I remember being in the top 3 and I felt great. And I remember looking behind me and there was no one. It was just the top 3. It was the guy that won it, the guy that was second, and it was me. And I was a bit behind the winner, to be fair. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I can't believe my family were listening to it on the radio, the Jersey radio, because they cover it. And they were like, oh my God, he's going to do it. And then, unfortunately, I just didn't do my homework. And the last 2 miles were like that.
Oh, no.
Absolutely killed me. And I was still proud, but I ended up finishing 8th out of 3,000, which I was really
Well, to be fair.
proud of. I crossed the line and I was like, for God's sake, with my Stevenage shirt on. And actually, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was crossing the line, I was gutted. And I remember some guy going, go on the Borough, like that. Like, I'm sorry, there's a Borough fan in Jersey, like that. But yeah, I'm back doing that in 3 weeks. I'm not happy with my position, so I'm going back for a top 3 result in 2 weeks. I've trained hard. I've lost 2.5 stone. Back running race pace. So yeah, I'm going to go back there with my new Stevenage shirt on and go back and do the business. Yeah.
Well, listen, very, very best of luck with that. Let us know how you get on, and we will be sharing that out there. And if you do happen to get involved, like the New York Marathon or anything, and you get a charity on board, again, let us know. We'd be happy to support in any way we possibly can.
That's amazing.
Paddy's been back in touch at Farley Ginge on Twitter. Good to see you on Fools Rush In tonight, Matt. #Governor. Let's go round then and do predictions. Craig, I'll start with you for tomorrow night.
Yeah. Can I just say first, it was fascinating listening to Matt about how it's all come about for Stevenage this season. Having that winning mentality, getting the right manager in, and the fitness and the right philosophy. It sounds so simple when you think about it, but we've made a right fucking pig's ear of that, really. This thing. But if you look in the top 5, the managers that are there: Paul Simpson, Steve Evans, Richie Wellens, Dave Challoner. They are all winners. They've all got promotions under their belts and everything. I think the only one who hasn't is Northampton's manager, John Brady. And I want Jody Morris to do well next season, but that's where we've missed the boat, I think, twice this season. So it'll be interesting to see if, because I've more than likely 99% sure Jody Morris will be our manager next season. But it was just interesting to hear that from Matt there. I think as far as the results concerned, I think it's going to be a close game, like I said earlier. But I think the Steve Evans effect and the fact that they got leaders all over the pitch, Steve Evans is the manager that we never had, and Carl Piergiani is the captain we never had. I don't even know if he's captain for you, Matt. Is he your captain?
He is.
Yes. Right, there you go.
He is.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that'll take. They just got too much quality there, and with the with promotion just within touching distance, I think there'll be too much for us. But we'll give a good account of ourselves, I think. And I think it'll be 2-1 Stevenage.
2-1 Stevenage. Thank you very much, Rich.
I'm going to say 2-1 Swindon. I think there'll be a couple of goals tomorrow, but I like to think hopefully we can get 3 games on the bounce, and hopefully we can just take that momentum in from Saturday into Tuesday. And do you know what? That'll look really, really good on us as well. We've done Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and we've won 3 games on the trot. And yeah, that would be really, really good to see. And hopefully we can keep that positive momentum going into the end of the season. I'd take a draw tomorrow, but I'd like to think that we can probably get a win out there.
Okay, Ben.
think that certain circumstances of the game might bring a bit of an intensity into it. I think it's going to be a bit of a battle during the war. I'm going for 2-1 to.
Come on, Ben.
Last.
Nice. It's 2-1 all round, Mark. Are you agreeing?
No.
You sticking with the draw?
Draw 5 feet. I think it's going to be 2-2, and I think it'll be a late equaliser, but I don't know who from.
Okay, lovely.
And if I was you, Matt, I would be more worried about Grimsby than Barrow. I don't think you've got anything to worry about with Barrow. Not from what
they were poor. Yeah,
they were very poor when they're chasing for that playoff position and stuff. So yeah, I'd be more concerned about Grimsby, mate. So best of luck.
Oh, thank you. No, I think that's what I think we're really lucky. It's at home actually, rather than away from home. I think if we can get that over the line, we're pretty much there. Yeah.
And best of luck with your running, mate.
Thank you. It means a lot.
No worries,
your prediction for tomorrow, then, Matt?
Oh, look, you know me. You know me. You know me. No, look. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I actually really do think it's going to be a really, really tough game. I think the way that we're going to play it is, I think we're just going to make it a really horrible game for as long as we can. And I think for 75 minutes we'll make it really ugly. The ball be in the air a lot. It will be very physical. We'll have
You're really selling this for the armchair fans who haven't decided if they're going
yet.
Guys.
Could you imagine, by the way, if I was completely wrong and we come out?
Stevenage just turned out and started playing Barcelona.
It's like, what are we doing here, lads? We're throwing it away. But no, I reckon it will be really horrible. And I think with 20 minutes to go, we'll look to get the win and try and get the 3 points. We've got to rob the bank tomorrow night, I think, to get 3 points. I think it's going to be a really tough game. I'm going to go a really, really tough 1-0 win where I think we'll nick a goal with 10 minutes to go. Maybe Danny Rose or big goal Reedy, as we call him. Jamie Reedy scored so many big goals this season. So, yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 win, which then sets up the promotion day at Grimsby on Saturday, yeah.
Promotion day at Grimsby.
Matt, before you go, I was going to say, were you on the lower league look yesterday? Did you listen to it?
I did for a bit, yeah. We were recording a pod, so I shooted off for about half an hour, but I did listen to it, yeah.
It's worth listening to Rusty, the Mansfield fan.
Sensational.
I did. Yeah.
Did that actually happen?
Just to clarify,
yeah,
he may have had a couple of drinks, but he wasn't on his high horse.
So basically, I got a message when I was recording. One of the lads went, "Mate, you have got to get back on the lower league." Look, and I went, "What do you mean?" They've got Russell on, and it's just he was going. What did he message? He messaged me saying he'd never heard anything like it in his life. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can get back on, and I missed it. And I was like, oh, all right, let me listen back to it. So I listened back to it, and I was just my mouth was just open. I was like,
I was laughing so much.
And do you know what? He just absolutely hates Steve Evans with an absolute passion, which is. But no, so. To go back to what he said, do you know what? He was correct on the game, actually. With 10, 20 minutes to go, I thought we were the better team, we were going to win it. But honestly, I'd never seen anything like it when Steve Evans got brought out. And he was right. So this is what I loved. Is in the first half, we were looking for Steve, like, he's not on the touchline. So what had happened? He walked out the ground from the changing rooms to be led up to the director's box, so no one saw him. But on purpose, and I know it was on purpose, it was definitely on purpose, he purposely walked out the tunnel and got the security team to lead him through up the stairs. And we were like, oh no, he's not going in the main stand. They can't do that. And I had never heard. And he was walking past and they were threatening him. And all you could see Steve Evans do was that. He was doing that to him as he walked up there was grown men with kids trying to get to him like that, and the police were holding them back. I've never seen anything like it. But no, the Russell thing was hilarious. That was so fun.
It was just claiming Steve Evans bankrupt his club, and I was thinking, Did Steve Evans sign off the transfers? I thought that was the
Yeah.
I thought that was the owner's
Do you know
job.
what? Do you know what? I'm going to give you an exclusive, right? I'm going to give you an exclusive. So
we love an exclusive.
I'll give you it because I love the Falls Rush in. I love you chaps a lot, right? So I'll give you an exclusive. So the story. So obviously the China episode where he said, "I'm going to China," and and then he ended up at Peterborough three days later. We've got a joke about that. We say he attempted to go to China via Shanghai, but just swerved it in the end and went to Peterborough. But the exclusive is. I think Liam made a point on it where he said to Russell, when Russell was going at him, and he said, "I don't think you know the full story of what happened." And Russell was like, "No, he lied to the." But from what we've heard, there was actually a lot more to it rather than just he ended up going. Apparently, the deal that he had in China was pretty much signed, sealed, delivered, and the plug got pulled last minute, and because he terminated his contract, Peterborough then offered him a job because obviously he couldn't go back to Mansfield. So I think there was a little bit more behind the scenes going on to what was led on, but no, it was funny nevertheless listening to Russell scream at him with a pint of beer in hand. Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's worth a listen. Just tune
Definitely
in.
worth a listen.
I'm gonna play that back.
Hilarious.
That sounds awesome.
If having one Fool's favourite on the panel tonight isn't enough, having another Fool's favourite tweeting about said favourite is even better. As Shah's been in touch. And everybody tune in to Fools Rush In, great group of guys. And my favourite ginger is on too, at Farley Ginge. So thank you very much, Shah. We appreciate that shout out as well. Listen, Matt, thank you very much for the last hour or so. As always, it's been infectiously optimistic and positive. You've put smiles on everyone's face. But as Craig said, it's been a fascinating listen to. With the exception of tomorrow night, good luck for the remaining games of the season. Good luck with the running. Again, let us know how you get on in your competitive running and if you get into the marathons, and we will happily share and do whatever we can to back you with that as well. Are you coming? Let me work out the geography. Are you coming kind of up and over tomorrow night?
No, so we're coming back for the day of the game, and then we're back because I've got work on Wednesday. So we're coming down. Luckily, I at the minute I get a lot of Tuesdays off with work at the minute. So me and a few chaps, we're leaving a bit earlier. We're leaving about 2ish, so we're going to go to the pub, have a dinner, have a beer. I'm driving, so I can only have one, and with the training as well. And then we're getting parked up and we're coming, and then we're back straight after the game. But yeah, I'll be there probably with the other 20 or so Stevenage fans, by the way. So and by the way, keep an eye out for cardboard Steve Evans in the away end. He'll be perched up right down the bottom. So I'm very sorry to disappoint. There isn't much of him left because of some of the last minute winners, but he'll be perched up down the front. But yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, if you see any of the Fools boys knocking about, make sure to tap them on the shoulder, say hi, and grab a couple of pictures as well. But thanks again, Matt, and good luck with everything.
Guys, look, I just want to say thank you so much. I love coming in here, and honestly, best of luck next season. I'll be rooting for you every week. If we're in the same league, I'll see you again. If not, I'll be rooting for you every week.
If not, let's hope we get each other in a cup run.
Yeah,
so that you can pop on again.
But honestly, best of luck. Love the lot of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Matt.
This season.
We'll see you in 12
All
months.
the best, Matt.
Cheers, Matt.
See you later, guys. Take care.
Legend.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
mate.
And so there we go. Absolutely love when Matt's able to join us. But gents, as one door, or in this case, as one square closes, another one opens, and we get to welcome onto the panel for the second half of the show. Evening, Nick.
Yeah, evening, boys. How you doing?
Oh,
Evening,
Very well, thank you, sir. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks, all good.
Good, glad to hear it. Just before we move on, you've been waiting very, very patiently in the lobby there, Nick. What's your thoughts on tomorrow and a score prediction, please?
Ooh, I don't like sitting on the fence, but I can see it being a draw, and I can see a sending off.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a hard game. There's my prediction.
Lovely. Well, very detailed. I like it, Nick. Very strong start to the strong start to your appearance. Let's instead of looking forward in time, then, shall we go back in time and have a look at the Wimbledon game. You were there, Mark was there, Rich was there alongside Joe and the other Joe, of course. And from the pictures we saw, everyone, I mean, we saw Rich definitely enjoyed himself earlier, but it certainly looked as though everyone was enjoying themselves on the day, and plenty of goals for you all to witness as well. What I'd like to know before we get on to the game, though, and it's what links into the title of tonight's episode. So, Mark, I'm going to come to you first. I saw various tweets and stuff about hot dogs, about pies. I was getting messages. Can you tell me why exactly was I getting so many messages from people about pies? What on earth was going on at Wimbledon?
Not a lot, Fifey. That was half the problem, I think, to be fair.
Go on, explain.
I know Nick had a nightmare as well, to be honest, because he tried to talk him round. But initially, we got there. We were meant to meet the Fools, but it was about a 20-minute walk to the ground, and we wanted something to the pub, and we wanted something to eat first. So we thought, we'll go straight to the ground, get something to eat. So we queued for probably 15 minutes, I think, at the first bar. Ordered the drinks and said, right, okay, what food have you got? And they were like, we haven't got it yet. It's not been delivered. What? Fantastic. So in fairness, we bought a drink to go and queue in another queue to get something to eat and probably another drink. And then when we got to the front, they said the food wasn't hot. And they had to bring it back to room temperature. Room temperature probably being the word, to be fair. They had 2 people serving and 4 people probing the food to see if it was hot enough.
Oh my God.
The worst thing was they only had 1 probe. So as hordes of people were queuing to order more food and drinks, they just had more people testing said food with 1 probe than they did have serving. So I think 45 minutes of waiting.
Oof.
I asked for a refund and they said to me, that would be a little bit of aggravation for us because we'd have to get a manager.
So to clarify, you paid for a pie.
Yeah.
You didn't get a pie.
No.
And you didn't get a refund.
No, and then I had to wait for 20 minutes for a manager to turn up.
And what did the manager say?
Not a lot, really. Just, we've got some pizzas. The pie still weren't hot by then, obviously.
Did you get free pizza?
Did you get pizza?
Yeah, in fairness, I think if I went back next fucking season, they'd still be cold.
Where were these pies made? Siberia?
I ain't got a clue, mate, but wherever they shipped them in from, fucking hell, I don't know. I think they were still like sorting out the cattle or something.
Terrible.
Yeah, on the plus side, though, to be fair, by the time they'd sorted out and the manager got dragged off somewhere else, I managed to get a full round of drinks and a pizza for a £5.
Oh, superb.
So I was quids in. I tried to sort Nick out, but he'd already arguments about lukewarm sausage rolls and it being his choice to eat them or not. But yeah, in fairness, I reckon I could have warmed the pie up quicker in this room than they could have at the ground.
So Nick, what can you add to this story? What was your argument?
My argument was, I don't care if the pie isn't hot or the sausage roll isn't hot. It's on me. Sell it to me and I'll eat it. Oh, no. Can't do that. We can't do that. Fucking health and safety. God, jeez. So I settled for what's called a pizza slice, which I don't really like pizza anyway, but I was bloody starving.
No, we've had this chat before.
And I sent a picture of it. I think I sent it on the group as well. I certainly sent it to...
That's where the pizza came from. I mentioned on Twitter the other day about a message about pizza.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that either, Foxy.
Yeah, so I sent a picture to my family group as well, having a grizzle because I couldn't get a pie or anything, and got this. And my missus said she couldn't even decipher what it was. She didn't know. The way I could best describe it, and sorry if there's anybody with very delicate ears, and I hope you're not eating it.
Anyone with very, very delicate ears is not listening to Fools Rush.
Right, okay.
Believe me.
How I'll describe it It looked like a panty liner with a big blob in the middle. And it didn't taste much better either.
Jesus Christ.
Di said to me, "You didn't actually eat that, did you?" Honest to God, that was just a total shambles. A total shambles.
Total shambles.
But I'll go on from that and give Wimbledon some praise. For a new ground, I was really impressed with it. I thought the layout was good. On their home end, it looks like they can put a new seats above the current ones. So it looks like they're planning for the future. And I don't know if any of you boys have seen it on social media. Swindon Boy, the young lad that follows them autistic, couldn't find his ticket and had a massive meltdown. Right. And fair play to Wimbledon, whoever it was, they sorted him out, got him a ticket, made sure he got in the ground, and it, really dealt with it well. So give him a lot of credit for that. Yeah. And everything else was really good.
Just eat before you go.
Sorry?
Just eat before you go.
Oh God, yeah. We should have had food at the pub instead of just having a drink. That's the mistake we made.
I think I found it, Nick. I think I found it. Is this the pizza slice?
That's it.
Looks like a breadstick.
That looks well fucking dodgy. That does.
It was. Believe me, it was. And to sort of to have a positive weekend, we had a family day out yesterday because it is my grandson's birthday. There were 17 of us who went to Burford Wildlife Park, had a cracking day. Stop at a pub on the way home, and I had the best steak pie I've ever had. So the weekend finished well.
So you did get a pie in the end then?
I did get a pie in the end. I was happy.
Did you get a pie yesterday, Mark?
Not yesterday. What cracks me up, though, is they kept quoting health and safety, but they continually prodded metal objects in all the food, whether it was chicken, beef, or sausage. And it was the same device. So where health and safety comes into it, I'm not really sure. But no, I'm sure I'll get a pie this week at some point.
The other thing on health and safety, it only works so far. And I sent a picture of us on the train.
Yes.
Now, how that can be a health
Close your ears, Craig.
Tick in the box. We couldn't even get in the carriage, and again, we were stuck in the bit between the carriages, stuck by the loo. There's one we managed to pile on. Joe, Georgia, myself, Kieran, and there's a young girl trying to get on as well. We virtually had to drag her on before the door slammed on her, and we were just crammed in there. I mean, I don't know where health and safety comes with people just standing for a full train journey. It's absolutely madness. I know it's not your fault, Craig, because you're only the driver. You're only the driver, so it's not your fault.
Any train issues, blame Craig.
I can tell you if you want, Nick, it's actually safer when it's rammed, because if the train derails, people don't get injured. They're not being thrown around the carriage. Yeah, and
that sounds like a bullshit manager, Craig.
No, that's why there's no maximum occupancy on the trains, believe it or not. So,
having said that,
yeah, that's right, Mark. Yeah,
I'm not
justifying it, but that's
I'm not justifying it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
If you don't like it.
I don't give a shit because they're all behind me. I'm in a nice big cab, so I'm all right. But, yeah.
Dear me. And I've tried to work as quick as I can, and I'm glad that you guys were able to fill time. Nick, I found that picture as well for you. Here's Nick.
Yeah.
Rammed on the train.
Rammed on the train.
You see Joe and Kira there as well. But it was clearly it was all worth it though. The train journey, Nick, and the food choices. It was all worth it for a 5-1 win.
Oh yeah, cracking day. Yeah. You enjoyed it. Yeah. Good people with us. Enjoyable day. Couldn't ask for anything better on that score.
And Rich, you were obviously absent from those pictures. How did you find the choice of food available and the journey to get there?
Well, I went with two of my mates, and we didn't have any of Nick's problems. We were standing up for for the whole journey from Swindon to London, but we were literally right in the middle of all the seats, so we were all right, and there was plenty of space in our carriage. So yeah, so we were all okay, and I was just cracking the cans open. So that was
Yeah, but it's all right when you're in first class, isn't it? There's always plenty of
Let's sat there with his feet up, being brought out.
So that was cool. In terms of food,
you were on the liquid lunch, weren't you, Rich?
I was on the liquid lunch. The liquid lunch kept me going until after the game, where me and my two mates went to Kingston to a smashing New Orleans place called Poor Boys. Check it out. It is absolutely amazing. We literally had an absolute feast. We had a winner's meal there, so that was fantastic. And then, as you kindly showed up earlier, there was the picture of me on the tube.
This one,
on the way back.
I can show it again for anyone that missed it.
Just showing it again. Yeah, literally me having 40 winks.
I'll just leave it there while you talk about it. It's fine.
No, let's not. Let's take it off. But yeah, yes, it was a very successful day. It was a very fun day, and from what I can remember, yes, the 5-1. Yeah, just everything about the day on Saturday was absolutely fantastic. Just being in the capital, being with some really good friends. And getting on the beers is very rare for me when I do go to a lot of the away games, especially up north, because majority of the time I'm driving.
Yeah.
So it's good. I always take advantage whenever I'm on the train to have a few drinks. So it is really good laugh, really enjoyable.
Just
Rich,
before we talk about
on every away game we've been to.
Rich is pissed at every. It's not just away games. Rich is pissed at every game he goes to.
Every home game.
Just a couple of comments before we talk about the match specifically. One specifically for you, Craig. This is much in your area of expertise. Tim says not as bad as cross-country safety before they used the double Voyager units. So 8 coaches and not the usual 4. I snuck into first class. I got about £10 worth of free food and drink. Used to excuse my brother is driving that GWR train in the other direction. Some train content for you, Craig. And
I know. I never thought I'd be seeing that when I thought when I was going to do this pod. Jesus Christ!
That's the life hack. That's the life hack that I always needed.
Don't make out like fools don't teach you how to get by in life, especially in a cost of living crisis. But then again, if you're rich enough to be getting on a train in the first place.
Yeah, true.
And then one for you, Rich. Steven says, with bottle placement, it looks like Rich is having more than 40 winks.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Let's talk about the game specifically then. And Nick, it wasn't an ideal start, was it?
No, it wasn't. We thought, oh Christ, here we go again. There's a couple of things I like sort of outside of the game. One was Jody Morris after the game when he said we were really poor at the start of the first half and the start of the second half. And I like it that he doesn't get, too high when we win and too low when we lose, to quote lots of people who say that.
Very mono, isn't he?
Very, very. There was another when he made the subs, and I think it is when Hutton come off. I might be wrong with that. Okay. I think it was Hutton. Hutton was pissed off that he got subbed, and you could see it. Morris stopped him, explained to him why he'd done it, calmed him down, which I thought was good man management. And the other thing which was really nice to see was Charlie Austin. He was warming up right by us. We were in the corner, and for the bloke who's on the bench, now it could be for a lot of factors. He had a positive look. He looked happy. He was enjoying himself. He was having a bit of banter with the Swindon fans. He was giving the finger to the Wimbledon fans when we scored. He was having the crack, and he was seemed very positive and spot on. So if that tells us anything for next season, I don't know. And as you would have seen, well, I don't know if you saw it on the highlights that he had the ball for the penalty and gave it to Darcy.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Darcy, it would have gone in if the guy hadn't handled it. So sort of all round on that. But I had a look at the extended highlights, and the thing they didn't show was when Khan smashed the ball into the dugout and caused a right old ruckus. It was like, go on, get in there. And the other thing specifically for the game, which I think will put us in good stead for Tuesday, for some of it was a nothing game for us at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The tackles were going in. Both fullbacks defended really well, Hutton especially. I think even McCracken, I can't even say it. I've got Ben's description here.
No,
call him
Nick,
George.
Come on.
Georgie boy. Sorry. Georgie boy
McEachran
slammed one of their players straight off the pitch into the hoarding. So players
Not
were
bad
getting
for someone who's been described as having no physical stature.
exactly, and players were getting stuck in, and it was really good to see. So, but what I would say going forward, we need 3 or 4, maybe 5 players if we're going to challenge for promotion next season.
Mm-hmm.
Wimbledon need 5, 6, 7 players if they're going to avoid relegation. They were so poor. That's probably one of the worst sides I've seen. And they're lucky that they've got the teams below them that have taken the relegation spots, because they were absolutely terrible.
I'm just keeping an eye on the live chat here, Nick, and this has amused me. I'm going to flash this comment up from Sean. Highlight on my way home is when I found myself asking, "Are you Nick?" And then clarifies the separate point that others tube means on the tube. So when I found myself asking, "Are you Nick on the tube?" You must look different in real life. Mind, I did have a skinful Saturday.
Yeah, it was before the game. I was heading over to this. Well, I think it was supposed to be a food outlet. So they said, "Ocus, mate, you need to get this on the pod on Monday. You need to talk about this bloody food nonsense." And then on the tube, "Are you Nick?" Yeah, I said to my missus, "Hey, I'm fucking famous." So yeah, it was nice to be recognised.
Rich, so Nick's eloquently started us off with not the perfect start, but it very quickly got a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest with you, I saw the penalty.
You don't remember?
No. I watched the penalty back, the first one back.
Yeah.
And I did think it was a little bit questionable, but I don't know, because it's sort of the way he went down. It'd be typical that it would be a dive, like sort of thing like that. But I think he did genuinely make contact. There was no like zoom in or anything like that. But and obviously Hutton's 2 assists were obviously fantastic. I do love the fact that the Wimbledon goalkeeper was watching both Ramsdale and De Gea the days before to give us that gift of a 3rd goal. So that was nice of him. That was a nice little present for us. So, but yeah, I did think, I was the same as Nick. We were a bit sort of doom and gloom. Obviously, it was a typical goal for us to give away, the way that we zonal marks. How Jody Morris still hasn't quite picked up on that yet, I really don't know. So that's a little bit worrying. And I don't know what he's trying to do with it. I don't know what he's trying to achieve from it or anything like that. And it worries me every time we get a corner now. The fact that we didn't close them down for their goal as well was a little bit disappointing. But overall, I think we can just overlook that. I mean, the way that we took all 5 of our goals, I mean, especially at that third goal when it was gifted to us, sometimes you'd expect it to be just booted over the bar. So, it was good that we took the chances that we were gifted and that we were given. And, I think every player in the end played out of their skin. So it was really good to see. And I think the way that we actually played as a team, I think that really defined us on Saturday. So, if we can, like I said earlier in the pod, and I'm going to say the same now, if we can keep that sort of momentum, that team spirit, into the next couple of games, then, things are certainly looking up, and it gives us a little bit of confidence going into next season. So, I'm really pleased with the way that we played in the end, the way that we showed the character that we showed all through the game. And absolutely fantastic. So fingers and toes crossed, we can continue that.
And Mark, yourself, what was your overall take from the game? I mean, obviously, fantastic result. Was it a performance that matched the result, or did it maybe flatter us a little bit?
I think they had a few chances, in fairness. Sol made a couple of decent saves, really. Well, they should have done more with it. But even said that would have probably put them on 3 to our 5.
Yep.
In fairness, I thought both penalties were taken really well. Mm-hmm. Jeffcott and Darcy's, which I was a little bit concerned about. They executed them really well. Wakeling's goal was sublime. Absolute cracking header, and I was really glad for Clayton that he got his as well.
Yeah.
But I think, overall, it was a good performance, to be fair, and something they need to build on. I think from Carlisle onwards, I think first time round we got I think it was about 17 points. I haven't double checked, but if Morris can build on that and get some good results in the last 3 games, we should hopefully equalise that.
Yep.
With a few key players missing, and from what I saw, I think I'm with everyone else. I think 3-4 maybe key players coming in. I think they're looking a little bit more like they could do something next year.
Excellent. And that's what we like to hear, is positivity just starting to come back.
You might shoot me for that, but
no, not at all. Not at all. Zonal marking means opposition can overload an area and take advantage, as they did on Saturday at the back post. Very good point made there by Knighton King. Ben, you've been waiting patiently for weeks and weeks and weeks for this sort of turnabout in form. You must be ecstatic at the moment with the turnabout. That's 7 points in the last 3. We're even if it's slightly tongue in cheek, let's talk about actually beating Stevenage tomorrow. And you're and again, I know you joked about it at the start of the episode, but 9th place isn't out of the question anymore.
Well, I'm happy. I wouldn't say ecstatic, because I'll be ecstatic if this was done 3 months ago. But it's I'm happy because, as I say, I think it's good for the club that Jody has a bit of a stable ground to go into pre-season with. So we can properly plan pre-season, have our first real pre-season with this squad, and build on something rather than worry about his job. So I think that's quite important. I think it's quite important for the fans to finish as high as possible, to actually give something. I also think it's good for the board that we go on a good run so that she sells some season tickets next season, because that is quite important to the budget that we're going to have next year. They make it plainly clear our budget is on incoming dependent. So it's all quite important. And it's good to see that players have sort of come through, and hopefully they can learn from this season. That's really important. A lot of our players are in their first full season, your Claytons, Laviniers and co, the first real season, and hopefully they'll learn from winning games and then completely losing form and then finding their feet again and regaining it, and they can use that experience to build on next season. And they've got a full season behind themselves, and hopefully they'll be better players for it next season. I think it's great that we've got players like George next season. With a full preseason under him, I think we'll probably see that he'll get better next season he goes on. And Hepburn Murphy as well, with a full preseason behind him and fully fit. I think you could be quite excited about him and Wakelin. So there's a work that needs to be done.
Shoots of recovery
to the squad. I'm not saying we're going to be brilliant next season because we're a long way off it yet. But you know, the chances there, the opportunities there. If we have a really good summer, that we can be up amongst the top runners next year.
And a couple more assists. Go on.
So finishing the season strongly is all important. And if we can turn Stevenage over, that builds up belief. If we can finish 9th, then we're 2 places outside the playoffs. And though we failed, the season is failure, at least we finished on a positive note when it really was looking at one point that we're going to finish about 17th or 18th. So it's something to go on.
A couple more assists for Hutton as well, Ben. Just adding more and more digits to that figure, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, as I say, I think as I said before the pod, with a few panelists saying that he could possibly go for 6 figures. We'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I won't name and shame the other ones that have lost their minds.
No, I'm not going to say it now. But Craig, I did say a little while ago when he was hot, he's rediscovering the form he had between October and New Year's, where he was our best player at the time. And if he rediscovers that at the right time, which it is, as in to get something for him, then maybe we can cash in and it will help bring in a couple of players, towards where we want to be next season, because we've got able replacement in Lavigne. So I think that we can afford to let him go, have Lavigne, and then possibly pick up a backup for Lavigne next summer.
Before I bring Craig into the discussion as well, a quick go round for all of you. You would have all seen it by now. I asked a question to a couple of Swindon fans. Jamie was one of them. I can't remember the other lad's name, unfortunately, that was on Lower League Look yesterday. But you would have all seen the post that Romeo Hutton put out. His cheeky little beach emoji as well, just for lols. Do we think that's a middle finger to the fans, a middle finger to Jody, or is it just him having a laugh and we shouldn't read too much into it?
I've got a comment on that.
Go on.
Whichever beach he's on, can Jody organise a pre-season tour there? Because since he's been doing that, he's been absolutely fucking dynamite. So it must be really, really good. So, he's been playing out of his skin. Now, whether it's he's looking for a new contract, improved contract, or a contract somewhere else, who knows? Pre-season tour to Hutton's Beach. That'll do well.
Rich?
I haven't actually seen it, mate, to be honest.
Really?
No, I didn't.
Surprise is given that at least 2 people posted it in our WhatsApp chat as well.
Oh, did they? Wasn't
Never mind.
Just the beach with eye emoji. It's pretty much it, really.
Then I probably didn't take too much interest in it then.
I'll resend it to you and you can have an opinion next time we chat. How's that?
No, that's fine. If it's just a beach emoji, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that was the to sum up the game on Saturday. Maybe, feet up, relaxing. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what it could mean? But I wouldn't read too much into it if I'm honest.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed about it. It was clearly a dig at the fans. Come on, let's face it. That's basically what he was saying without saying it. But I don't mind. We dish it out. If they dish it back to us, I haven't got an issue with that at all. But to be honest, I don't really give a shit if he's doing that well now, because for me it's too little, too late. It doesn't make any difference to me. He's still not going to get us promoted. So if he's coming into a vein of form and we can sell him on for a good, fee, brilliant. That's the only way I see of it. But I saw the thing and I wasn't, some fans have been triggered by it. I'm not too fast. You know, at the end of the day, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know, and it's a passive aggressive thing. It's not a big deal at the end of the day.
Speaking of passive aggressive, Woody says, I'll send it back to him when he's at fault for the Stevenage goals. Mark, did you see the post? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I did. In fairness, I'm pretty much the same as Craig. I think if you dish it out, you've got to take it back.
Yep.
If he's questioned on it, he's probably just going to say, actually, I'm looking forward to getting on the beach. You know, what you put in writing or on social media is as people interpret it anyway.
Yep.
In regards to what he's going to sell for, it be undisclosed, so we'll never know. And I think with the right team, he could be pretty lethal if he's a winger. He's not a defender.
Yeah.
In all honesty. But yeah, I don't care if he's playing well. Crack on.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I think, yeah, if people dish it out, they've got to take it back just because he's a player. You know
Hutton to me is a little bit of a shithouse as well, because remember, obviously, the comments that Jody made about Tommy Adloy, and then the next day he put a screenshot of Tommy Adloy with the whatever caption it was, I can't remember, but it was in support of Tommy basically. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe it was a shot at Jody. Who knows?
But I think
I don't think it was a shot at Jody.
Hang on, Craig. Hang on.
Sorry.
Yeah, with Tommy, I mean, I do feel for him. I don't think he's been given the right opportunity, but I have to say the last game he was on the bench, was it Barrow at home?
Possibly, yeah.
I've put the comment a few times, actually, half time, when the players are all warming up and they're in their bibs and everything, and he's still in his full coat and his tracksuit trousers, and he's having a chat for half the time and kicked a ball once, doesn't string the right attitude to me.
It's fair.
And I don't think he's been given the right attitude. Whether they've caused that or he's the problem, because Lindsay never seemed to rate him either, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't like.
We'll probably never find out.
No, I just didn't like what I saw that day, so I've kind of judged him on that, rightly or wrongly.
On the situation with Hutton, Rob's been in touch to say didn't get his move in January. He's sulked about it. Now people are back in the market. He's trying it again. No coincidence. Craig, whenever I want to make a cynical point, I usually lean on you or Mark to back me up. So don't feel no, not you. Other Mark. But you've been fairly, particularly just before we went live, you were particularly positive, and you've been agreeing with Ben as we spoke about. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go. One thing that's kind of I noticed straight after the game and in the 48 hours after it, a lot of people quite rightly are very happy with the result, etc. at the weekend. They're matching that up with Bradford. They're seeing these shoots of recovery that everyone's described, and everything's rosy. And I'm just kind of wary of that, because one good week in football, and that's in essence what it's been. It's been a good week of football, in my mind, doesn't make up for 3.5 to 4 months of more or less constant ineptitude.
I'm glad you've asked me this question, Fifey.
Good.
Well, look, I mean, I said it earlier in our WhatsApp group. We can't forget how shit we were before that, but I'm pleased as punch for Jody that you know, we've got 2 wins on the bounce. That hasn't happened too often for us this season. If he does 3 wins tomorrow, then that'll be the first time that's happened this season. That'll be awesome. And I always want Swindon to win. I might be cynical, I might be negative, but I want my team to win. I was gutted I didn't go to the game on Saturday. There was a small chance I could go, but circumstances were you know, as I said to you guys offline, meant that I couldn't. But at the end of the day, for me, you know, and it was great to hear what Nick was saying about the players were getting stuck in, and they seem to show some grit and determination, something we've lacked all season. But for me, it's too little, too late. It is, you know, there was a level that I expected us to be at this season. So, like, you know, last season with the playoffs, we were up here, weren't we? You know, which was more than what most of us expected to be. So, for me, and I think for most Swindon fans, I was expecting us to be further, as in, you know, promotion,
improve on the season before,
automatic promotion. If we had to go up via the playoffs, then obviously take that. Not ideal, but we're basically below that. And to be honest, I don't give a shit whether we finish 9th or 22nd. It's the same for me. It makes no fucking difference whatsoever. Even if Jody wins the next 3 games, it's good for momentum for next season, but it still means that we haven't got promoted. And for this club, and for me as a fan, and this is not out of entitlement or anything like that, but I think the bare minimum we should expect is promotion each and every season that we're in this league. And, you know, once we start saying, "Oh, yeah, it's good we've finished 9th," because it looks like realistically it's either going to be 9th or 10th that we're going to finish. If we say, "Oh, that's good," no, it's not good. It's not fucking good enough. It's not good enough for Swindon Town, and it shouldn't be good enough for any Swindon Town fan. Because if you start settling for mediocrity, that is the route into the National League at the end of the day. And I'm not trying to shit on the last 3 games because they have been good, but let's put this into perspective of what's happened at this season. And remember that just before Barrow, even the Barrow game, we were dire. It was only because Barrow were more dire than us that we managed to get a point. So, you know, we need to keep this in perspective. And if, you know, and Sandro's still hanging on like a bad smell, we need to make sure that we get our recruitment right. And I've disagreed with every panelist so far. We need 7 to 8 players if we're going to get promotion next season. 7 to 8 quality players. It's not for me 3 or 4 because I don't think that'll be good enough to get us automatic promotion. And that's what we should be aiming for next season. Because if we make the same mistakes as last season, we do our recruitment late, and everything else, we're going to get the dregs. We're going to be scraping the barrel, and it's going to be the same again as what it was last season. You know, for me, you know, we shouldn't lower our expectations at the end of the day. And, you know, Jody said that conversations will be had this week because of you know, with the board, and I only think that's been happening because of the backlash after the hand grenade that he threw in last week in his press conference. I don't think that's the board doing that off their own back. That's them thinking, shit, we better get our asses in gear. But who's doing the scouting? Who's doing the recruitment? We haven't got a scout. We haven't got a director of football, technical director who's actually doing stuff at the moment, have we? Who's actually looking into the recruitment? By the end of May last year in 2022, Stevenage had signed 5 players. By June the 15th, they had signed they'd signed 7 players. On June the 15th, we signed our first player, which was Tyrese Shade last season. It's going to be the same again this season. I can see it fucking happening unless the board gets their asses in gear, Rob and Clem, and they turn around and they say, right, Sandro's gone. We're bringing in a technical director. Jody, we're going to send people out to do recruitment and everything, and we're going to start getting players in. Because if we haven't signed at least 2 or 3 players by the end of May, it's just going to be the same again next season. And if people want to happy clap us into the National League, then so be it. Because that's what's going to happen if you accept that. If you accept that, that is what's going to happen.
Well, it took an hour and 42 minutes. It took an hour and 42 minutes, but the S card has been thrown, and I'm not gonna, you know, I was trying as best as possible to have a Sandro-free evening, but now that it's been mentioned, now that particular Pringles can has been opened, did anybody see a few hours ago that cryptic tweet from everyone's favourite journalist, Ryan, who said, I might be paraphrasing slightly because I haven't got it in front of me, but wouldn't it be funny if Sandro ended up going to Crawley as well and partnering with Scott Lindsay again? Sensational banter.
Sorry, Fife, in the middle of my rant, I forgot to ask, because I wanted to ask everyone else who'd been to the game.
Yeah.
Was there anything that they noticed on Saturday where you think that's Jody Morris that's done that? He's imprinted his own philosophy on that game in you know on the team in that game that you could pinpoint and say, yeah, Jody Morris has done that, whether it was to do with the formation or selection or just how we were playing, was because that's something that he has been criticised for. You know, like you sort of like was saying, well, what's Jody Morris done? There's nothing really that you could turn around and say, oh, he's done something and he's turned a game around, that sort of thing. Does any of the panel, is there anything you can think of where he's actually done that? This isn't a criticism. I genuinely want to know because I didn't see the game.
Craig, I thought about this a lot. It's quite hard to say with the Wimbledon game because they were so poor. They were a really poor side, and you asked the question: is it that Jody Morris is getting his coaching team set up across to the players and they're taking it on board? Is it because they're playing for a contract? Is it because they're playing without any fear because there's nothing to play for and they can go out and play in a relaxed manner? So it's very, very difficult to determine what the difference was. Yeah, as Rich said, I mean, we had 2 penalties and 1 giveaway from the keeper. The best goal was Wakeling's, and even Clayton's header. You've seen those loads of time fly over the bar, and that went just dipped under. So it's what I would say is we were certainly moving the ball forward a lot faster. We weren't fanning about across our own box, left to right, right to left, and when it needed the hoof to clear our lines, we were doing that as well. So
sorry, Nick. Is continental long ball?
I'll call it the hoof because they were putting the foot through the ball when they needed to, and especially players like Clayton, and you expect him to be the ball playing centre back, but when he had to clear his lines, he was clearing them. And if you look at the penalty we got with the Lavinia, how he then moved forward and got into the box, took the pass, and got his ankles clipped, that was totally different to what we've done most of the season. So, yeah, and I say it's difficult to say. Is it because they're now taking on board what Jody Morris wants? But because they were such a poor side, I think Tuesday will give us a better idea and see how we play against, for want of a better description, a shithouse team, a League Two side who know what to do and know how to get results and grind out wins. So I think that would determine it. But it's probably a bit of all those 3 that I've said. It's, you think, well, maybe Morris is getting through to the players. They are obviously relaxed because there's nothing to play for, and if we'd have got beat, it would matter for pride, but it doesn't matter for the season. And they say Wimbledon were just so poor, and I can see them going down next season if they don't bring a hell of a lot of players in. So it's a difficult one, Craig. Really difficult, mate.
It's interesting. I was just going to say it's an interesting point where you made about obviously players playing for a contract. We saw that just before January with like Louis Reed, for example. He was just playing out of his skin where he had a really bad start to the season. But now you're seeing players like Johnny Williams, for example, that's like really trying now, like really playing out of his skin. Luke Jeffcott as well, because I think his contract, we've offered him a contract. No, I think it's a loan with an option to buy, but I think he's out of contract at Plymouth anyway. Am I right?
Free. Well, he'd be a tribunal, but he'd be cheaper than.
Right. Okay. So, but either way, if he's out of contract, he's going to be wanting to play for a contract, even if we don't offer him one. So, it's one of those things, and it wouldn't surprise me, and I didn't really think about it until now, but I hope that's not the reason that we're playing well. I really hope it is down to Morris's tactics, the work that he's been doing on the training ground. But it doesn't actually fill me with a lot of confidence now, because why have we not done this for months leading up to this where we could have been potentially still in the playoffs. So it's an interesting point, and I think it's something that obviously I think we need to be wary of. But again, you know, if these players are playing good and we're actually going to offer them a contract at the end of the season, it's just going to be one of those that we have to wait and see on.
Well, I'm delighted to now welcome John onto the panel. He said he dropped me a message and said, I've got a bit of time to kill. If there's space, can you send me the link? I'd like to come on. So evening, John.
Evening, Fifey. Evening,
How
boys.
are you, sir?
I'll do, John.
Not too bad.
No.
There you go.
John, 7 points from the last 3 games. Everything's rosy again at SM1, isn't it?
Well, I would hope so. I think it's getting better. I was quite impressed with Bradford last week. I missed the game on Saturday due to other commitments, but I watched most of the game on Saturday. It's quite hard to work out if we played well or Wimbledon were just awful. I was a bit confused at times, but I think their 2 centre-halves were pretty poor. But then again, they've been poor the second half of the season, and so. But then again, you can only beat what's in front of you. So, yeah, you take 5, won't you, away at anywhere?
Of course. We did the Stevenage preview at the beginning of the show, but as you've been kind enough to join us, what are you expecting, and give us a score prediction?
Well, obviously, I see you at the away game, and that was obviously terrible. But they've been struggling with a small squad recently. I don't know if what Matt said earlier, I haven't seen it, but they only won 4 games since Christmas, or 5 games, something like that.
I think that's away from home. They've only won 5.
Is that it? Yeah, I thought it was a strange quote earlier I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought they must have drawn loads of games. Yeah, but I think we'll give them a game tomorrow. I hope we win, but I think it could be a draw. I think maybe they're thinking third's a bit too much for them now with that small squad. So I think they would be happy with a 1-1 as well.
Okay. Do you know what? And just going back, thank you, John. Just going back to what Craig was saying, that was a fascinating question. And Nick in particular, thank you for your overview of what you saw. Because for fans like myself and to an extent Craig, who don't get to go to as many games as perhaps we would like, it's always fascinating when someone can give an opinion but also back it up with the little intricate details to help us actually sort of picture what's being said.
Yeah, that was a good answer from Nick. That gave me a good idea of what I was asking. So yeah.
I think John made a good point, and it was kind of referenced by a couple of the other guys. It can be difficult to judge. 5-1 on the face of it looks fantastic. 5-1 away from home looks fantastic. As you say, when 2 penalties and one's an absolute gift. What I would say is the other 2 goals, very, very, very nice goals. But I also agree with Rich's point that he made right at the beginning of the review. It's very concerning that even when we're scoring 5, the 1 goal we concede is a carbon copy of seemingly every other goal we concede. That is a worry. Particularly aimed at Nick, Mark, and Rich. Before we move on, is there anything else you'd like to sort of bring up about the game on Saturday?
I think there's one thing that really annoys me.
Go on.
And Rich talked about this zonal marking and how we defend from corners. Mm-hmm. What I can't understand is we put 11 players in the penalty area.
Yeah.
We've been doing it the last few games. Mm-hmm. That leaves 2 attackers sitting just outside of our box. So if that ball's cleared, they've got clear control of the ball. Why we don't leave a player on the halfway line, which drags 2 of their defenders back, I don't know. That just absolutely annoys the crap out of me. Just
probably
don't
because
understand
of lack of confidence in our ability to actually defend the set piece.
Yeah, but we've got probably too many players in there, and then we leave space at the back post, and as we say, carbon copy goals again. Here we go. So why we do that, I don't know.
You're correct, Nick. Yeah, I've noticed it recently that a few teams do that. I see Bradford were doing it on that Tuesday night as well, bringing everyone back for corners. I don't understand it at all. I was never taught that as a kid. I think it's pretty ridiculous. That ball gets cleared. It's going to nobody anyway.
I was always told to, whenever I played up front, they always told me to stay on the halfway line. And that's why I coach my kids. I always have one player playing.
That ball gets cleared. It's going to nobody anyway. It's just coming straight back at you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Surely, if we're getting dicked in the same area every fucking time, we're not zonal marking properly. Because we're leaving the same fucking gap open all the time. It's like, I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's a fair point, though, Mark. It is a fair point.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Woody's saying overload the zones. Nick, were you just off topic slightly? But were you? Did you travel back with Joe and Kieran, etc.?
Yeah, we walked about 3 miles back from the ground.
I was going to say, what's this? I heard that because was it Joe that was in charge of navigation? It didn't entirely go correctly.
And we had a tour of the streets around Wimbledon and took a little detour. Because they sent all the fans out a different way.
Okay.
So we sort of come out the opposite way that we went into the ground. Okay. Obviously to keep the opposing fans apart.
Yep.
But we walked bloody miles. I was absolutely knackered. And then they say I had a day at Burford Wildlife Park on Sunday, walking miles again. And I was like, oh, Jesus, this is too much. I was knacked. So, we did have a nice tour of Wimbledon. It was all right, actually. I've been in worse places walking around, so it wasn't too bad.
Let's move on then if we can. And as we're already approaching the 2-hour mark, I don't want to keep it too late on a Monday. So let's have a look at women's football roundup for the week. And Rich, unfortunately, it was defeat again for Swindon Town women, which means the new boss might be implementing his style, but he's yet to get a win under his belt.
Yeah, it's quite disappointing to obviously see that. I think I don't know if it's not quite clicking yet. Obviously, we're not entirely too sure as to what's happened. Hopefully, we'll get one of the girls come on in the next week or so, and hopefully can discuss how they felt so far during the reign of the new manager. But I think. It's getting towards the end of the season now. I think
1 game left.
Well, promotions. 1 game left. Promotions out the realm of possibility was a few weeks ago, I think. So I think I think it's just trying to implement a squad to bring forward for next season now. From what it sounds like, they've got a lot of plans in place, but in terms of the opposition that they played yesterday, obviously Cardiff have cemented their place in this league this season. I mean, at the start of the season, they were battering teams 8-9-0. And I think the 2 games that Swindon did play against them kept them at quite a respectful score, to be honest with you. Well, obviously 1-0 yesterday, and I think it was. God, I think it might have only been like 2-3-0 the game at Cardiff. So I don't think it definitely weren't cricket scores at all. So that shows something for the team. The way that they defend, the way that they play their game, manage their game. So that's certainly one positive, and you can tell the chemistry, the friendships in that squad as well. The way that they stick together as well is fantastic. And obviously we've had a couple of girls on before, and they said that and they've said that as well. And you can tell that by some of the pictures that Cal puts on socials as well.
Love them pictures.
Tight knit group. So. It's great to see, and like I say, I think obviously to come back next season to play against a team like Cardiff, who have I don't know if they finished top in the end, did they? Or I need to have a look at the table if they finished.
Don't believe it's all signed and sealed yet.
Rich,
No.
it's interesting what you're saying about the camaraderie with that team, because obviously we've seen that go into the games and when we've had the girls on and everything, and with rumours that there's going to be a big budget coming in and that potentially they're going to be bringing in higher tier players. Do you think that could be more of a cause more of a problem next season, more of a disruption? Because women's football, as we know, it's different to men's. For one, these aren't professionals, but surely with the camaraderie and the team cohesion and everything that's in that team, surely they don't want to totally disassemble the team and then just bring in a load of new players who've got no ties to the area or ties to the club, and then to go for glory. Surely, I'd need to ask Woody this question. I'm guessing probably, but could that
it's something
more problems than actually be successful?
No, absolutely. I think it's a very valid point, and I think if you've got to look at it as you've got players that don't really know anything about the club, that they come to play their football. Obviously, they've come from maybe tier 3, maybe some tier 2 teams. Who knows? From what it sounds like, it's very ambitious, the kind of players that they're trying to attract. But I think that's one thing that Swindon have obviously prided themselves in terms of having homegrown players playing for their club very, very close by. And I do think it's a little bit of a shame that they haven't got that. That they probably won't have that going into next season, which is a little bit of a shame. But also, I think obviously where they want the club to be, they want the club to be challenging for promotion, and if that means that they've got to, get players in, but we've seen in some teams that doesn't work. For example, I know this is completely different, but I'm going to just show Chelsea men's team, for example. They bring in all these high-profile players, ridiculous amount of money, and it hasn't really worked out for them. Yeah. So, you can have all the money you want in the end, but at the end of the day, you want to have a tight-knit group that are going to want to win games, and we saw that at the start of the season. Lally went on a really, really good run, and Swindon were doing really, really well in the table, and I personally think they were overachieving anyway. But the fact that they were up there and challenging, in a really, really good, solid position, and then obviously they get this. But the reason that they were there was because obviously they were a tight-knit group, and they won. They were winners, so it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. I know you've got a follow-up point, Craig. I just wanted to piggyback just on that quickly, because you made a very valid point, and what I was going to say was the work that's been done by a lot of the fan content groups and particularly the players themselves, is they've really sort of reached out and become known and liked and respected in the community. So if you were to if the worst was to come to worst, and you completely disassembled it for a higher caliber squad, but you break up all of that, then it's not just players links to the club, but people have become familiar with these players over this last season, and if you get rid of them, if they were to all leave, then it would be an absolute mess.
Yeah, I mean that's my fear, and I don't just mean geographically close. I mean historically. So people like Annie Colston and Ree, they live in Bristol, but they've got historic ties to Swindon. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. So even if they got rid of those people, you need to keep that basic core. Obviously, there's always going to be a turnover of players and everything, but if they're going to do what I think that they're going to do, and just totally bring in new player that basically get rid of the majority of that team, what does that say to those players in the development squad? And what does that say to the under 18s as well, who are primarily all local girls? It's the wrong way to do it in my opinion. And if it does go that way, but that is my fear, and I really hope it doesn't come to pass, because this season has been immense. I've said it before, I've fallen in love watching this women's team.
Yeah.
You know, I've probably watched as many games live as what I've watched the men's team. You know, and a lot, and many others have as well. It'd be such a shame that if we lost that bond to players who have got no ties to the area or the club and are just there to get glory and move up the divisions. But that's just my opinion as a fan. You know, that might not be the, you know, the
no, mate. That's what these things are all about, is opinions. What right or wrong is almost irrelevant. We're all here to share opinions, feelings, etc. on Swindon Town for any team. For the benefit of anyone listening back to this on audio version, I've got a comment up on the screen from Woody. He may not be on the panel tonight, but he is working overtime for us. And he's just to clarify the point Rich was making earlier. Swindon could decide it this weekend. Exeter have to beat them to have a 6-point gap on Cardiff, who have Monies and Southampton to play. So that is the situation in that division. Speaking of Woody, and again, for those along the ticker, they may have noticed, it has to be said, Rich, we know the situation at Bassett where Woody's gone to help coach, and it's been a difficult campaign for them, but they had a great win weekend previous, and they got a 0-0 draw this time out as well. So again, very similar to what we were saying about Swindon, shoots of recovery, and fair play to Woody and the whole team, all the women and the rest of the coaching staff at Bassett. It's a tough end to the season, and it's likely to end not the way they would want. It's highly likely to end not the way they would want, but if they are getting these shoots of recovery, it's building blocks for next year, and credit to them all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously Woody knows those leagues probably better than anybody, and I think the work that he has done since he's come in to Wotton Bassett, it was obviously in a very tough position as it was. So to be able to get I think liveliness and the enthusiasm out of some of the players to play for them, I think is obviously a show of his character as well. And we all know what Woody's like whenever he comes on here. He's always very bubbly, and he's always passionate about everything that he says. So it's really, really good to see that they're definitely building strides, although they're on the verge of getting to where they are, potentially into Tier 5, the positives that they're going to be taking out of it, and to be bringing in to next season. He's got a very young squad at Bassett, so I think they're only going to get better. And obviously, for me, I know how good of a coach Woody is. I've seen it all at Abingdon. So for him to, I have no doubt that if they do get relegated, that they'll come straight back up.
And just because you stop wearing the red and white of Swindon Town does not mean you are not part of the family anymore. And I think it would be a terrible, it'd be terrible of us not to acknowledge and to congratulate Beth on her news that she shared with everyone on her social media. Some exciting news to announce. 2023 is going to be amazing. Can't wait to meet you, as she posted pictures of scan pictures and baby clothes. So congratulations to Beth on her fantastic news as well. We've all sort of responded to her social media posts and dropped her messages and stuff. And we're still quite hopeful that she's yet to make another appearance on Fools before the end of the season. So we'll get to congratulate her in person as well. But huge news. And on behalf of everyone at Fools Rush In, congratulations to the entire family.
Good luck to both teams on Sunday, because I believe Bassett are playing Warminster.
No, you've jumped ahead.
Not this weekend. No,
14th of May,
isn't it? 14th of May. My bad. Sorry, that was my bad.
Right.
I literally just
that's
remembered
the one
it
I've
as I was
remembered.
talking. As soon as I was talking, I just remembered. Hang on a minute, that's not this weekend, as it's the 14th.
Woody's getting all emotional in the comments at the kind words saying about him. Tim, who we know is a big fan of Woody's tenure at Abingdon. That's great, Woody. I didn't know that. And now they're back in the Championship, where most AUWFC last played for them in that league. Woody then says, I'm buzzing for Beth. And Woody the Fixer In Woody we trust, says Tim. And in Woody we trust at Fools Rush In as well. One last thing before we finish for the night, and it is our Any Other Business section, where I open the floor to anything you guys want to say. Just before I do, we do still have the giveaway. We have a ticket available for the game at home to Crawley on the bank holiday Monday. We're giving it away completely free. We just want your recommendations. Please DM us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, of course, where Craig can pick them up. Let us know who you would like to nominate and why. We will get all those nominations together on Thursday, ready for Craig to announce who gets it on Friday, because Craig, you're on hosting duties on Friday.
Yeah, I am, mate. Yeah. Well, I had to come to your rescue, mate. So, I'm always here for you, mate.
I'm otherwise preoccupied this coming weekend, but I will be back on Bank Holiday Monday, where, you were saying about hopefully getting some of the ladies players on soon. Grace, I believe, I'm 99% sure Grace is joining us on Bank Holiday Monday to look forward to the cup final. So it'd be great to have Grace on. Always good fun. But yes, Craig is your host on Friday. Does anyone want to throw any other business in there before my final question?
I've got a little surprise for the panelists when they come on Friday. Nice. So hopefully as many of them can come on as possible. Don't worry, it's nothing to worry about. It'll be good. Don't worry.
Last time someone went rogue with a surprise, we ended up with a picture of Nick next to a flag that had the word "fuck" on it.
Yeah. It might become a regular thing on Fools Rush In. Trust me.
What flags?
Yeah, well, what you've got. You want, yeah.
Okay, gents. One last question then for tonight, and John, you've joined at just the right time. A question was asked online, and we had very little time to prepare this, but it certainly got people talking. I got sent a certain picture by 4 different people. So I'm just going to show it on the screen here, and then I'm going to ask all of you your opinion. But Ben, I'll start with you, because the one I was sent was this. Gabe Sutton put, rate your EFL club's manager's work in 22-23 out of 10. And Pyman80, BTB himself, replied, Scott Lindsay gets a 6 out of 10. Jody Morris, 5 out of 10. So, Ben, start us off. Are you happy with those ratings, or was it a moment of madness?
Oh, no. I thought it's a fair call judgment. Though the season's not finished, if Jody manages to finish 9th and win the last 5 on the spin, then they both get a 6. But I think because Lindsay did have us towards after a tricky pre-season, because he did have us for most of the season in and around top 6, though we felt at the time he was seriously underachieving. In fact, was leveling out or doing what he should be doing before we sold our more experienced pros. And I think, though, Morris has had the wool pulled under him a little bit with unluck to start with. I think he could have done better than he has actually done. Okay. I think we surrendered our playoff challenge a bit easily and without a fight.
Yep.
And then now we've actually shown some backbone. It's too late. It's only something we can prospectively build on for next season. All he's done is secured his job, which is not that particularly good.
Okay.
So
that's
or hard.
That's why. But Liam was quite quick to jump on that. I must be on his notifications, because within a second of me posting that, he immediately replied and then made it a quote tweet.
Right, let me go around the rest of the panel then. John, I'll start with you. Rate both of our managers this season out of 10 for their performance.
Right, Lindsay. Wow. We didn't score a goal, did we, until we played Rochdale at home. And how many games was that? That was 3 or 4. If you look back, see, I never had a problem with him being the manager.
Okay.
but I was never a fan from the start.
Hmm.
But I never really slagged them off too much online. I would say just because of the position we were when he left, 4.
Okay. And Morris?
Well, I'm going to stick with what I thought in January. I think he's the real deal, personally. I think he was stitched up in January, coming in so late on the 30th, and I'm going to stick by that. Maybe he wrote the players off a bit too early. Maybe he told the players they weren't good enough too early. I'm not sure. But he seems to have got them playing a bit now. I don't know if that's because the teams they're playing against are sort of fading away. But then we played Bradford and did okay. So, again, 5.
Okay. So John's going Lindsay 4, Morris 5. Nick?
I was quite surprised with Ben's tweet.
He was.
I replied to him. I think and I'll hold my hands up. I said I was quite happy when Lindsay was appointed because I thought we'd have some continuity and we would be able to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But and if you think about it, I think again, Lindsay managed the team from his heart rather than his head. He was very up chest thumping when we won, and he was very, very down when we lost.
Mm-hmm.
Jody Morris is total opposite to that. As I said earlier, he doesn't get
no emotion whatsoever.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Fifey, but he doesn't get, too buzzing when we get a victory. He spoke very well after Wimbledon in laid out. I think he is, to me, Morris is definitely a winner and demands high standards, which is why he's dealt with players like Adeloy. He's not afraid to bench people. He's not afraid to leave people out of the side. And I think he's come from that when he played for Chelsea with the likes of John Terry and Frank Lampard around him, who've got a winning mentality. And I think Morris has got that winning mentality. And so on the basis, it has been desperately disappointing. Took too long to appoint him. Took too long to appoint his assistant. He had the experienced players sold, and we never replaced them. So he was dealt a poor hand playing wise with the inexperienced players that we all knew was going to be a problem. So on that basis, I would turn it the other way around and give Lindsay a 5 and Jody a 6.
Okay. Craig?
Chateau Neuf de Pape. I'm saying that because I can't believe I'm completely. I don't think I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I completely.
Wine, Craig.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I'd say the reason I said that is Paddy's messaged me and asked me to come out with an Only Fools quote. So that's why I've done it.
I've done one of them. I had to do. That's what I did during the war.
Yeah. No, I just can't believe that. I don't think I'll ever say this again for the rest of my life, but I completely agree with Ben. So absolutely. I mean, we're comparing levels of mediocrity. Me and Nick had a disagreement about who was better, Morris or Lindsay, but there's not really that much in it, to be honest. I haven't got too much of an issue with Nick's. Nick always puts his point quite eloquently, to be fair. Yeah. So I haven't got too much of an issue with that. But we can't really give either of them much more than 6. They've both been really, really shit at times, and they've both had their moments where it's been pretty positive. So it's just like I said, just basically comparing mediocrity so far. But if Morris wins the next three games, then I'll probably give him a 6.
Okay, Rich.
Probably give them both a 5. I think if we're comparing in terms of the games up until this point, so whether or not they were cup games or not cup games for Lindsay, he only won 4 of his first 16. In terms of Morris, he's only won 4 of his first 16. So, and they both had a game where they've scored 5 goals. So I'll give them a 5 each.
Okay, and Mark?
Yeah, I think I'm similar to Nick. To be fair, I understand to an element why they appointed Lindsay, because that continuity and he knew the players, and I get that. I think from a level of performance, I'll probably mark them both 5. For professionalism, I'd probably give Morris a 6 and Lindsay a 5.
Okay.
If I'm honest. I think it's very close to call, to be fair.
Okay.
But I think if Morris gets the right players in, he will do better than Lindsay.
Fair enough.
But
And
stats speak for themselves, according to Sandra.
they do indeed. And
Mark, that's exactly what I said in our WhatsApp group. So I'm starting to sound like Sandro now. Oh,
I know.
I can see Morris having a better
mate.
career than Lindsay in the long run.
Fifey, the pod is finished with all the stuff that's coming out tonight. God, Craig agreeing with Ben. Craig becoming Sandro spreadsheet. What's going on?
World's going to an end.
For what it's worth, and you know from a couple of weeks ago when we did a rating thing, how I like my decimal points. I would give Mr. Lindsay a 5.5, and Jody is somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5 so far in my ratings. Just purely on my opinion, I think the fact that where we were, considering all the issues people said Lindsay had, and he had us where we were, all the issues people say Morris has, and we've sunk to where we are. The conversations we've had over the last few weeks, you can't blame, at this point, you can't blame Lindsay for what Morris was doing. So I think the fact that we are significantly lower down in the league, and as I said earlier, one good week in football doesn't replace 9 terrible weeks in football. So I don't see that Morris has done enough to justify even being on a level page, in my opinion, with Lindsay for what they managed to achieve this season. But I think that's a perfect place before there is any more. Craig is Sandro, Sandro is Craig, Craig's agreeing with Ben, and all the rest that we've had to witness tonight. That is the perfect place to end it. If you are going to Stevenage tomorrow, as we always say, be loud and proud, and let's hope that these shoots of recovery continue. Don't forget, Craig is on hosting duties on Friday. He and the rest of the panel will be previewing the penultimate game of the season. It was an absolute joy having Matt on earlier. Mark, thank you very much for joining us as well. I know that this isn't necessarily your cup of tea, but hopefully your first solo outing, you've managed to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I'll be back 5 in again. Thanks to Matt. I don't think, I said to Joe, I've never met a bloke so positive.
Yeah.
What a nice guy.
Yeah,
it's infectious, isn't it?
Absolute legend.
John, thank you very much for jumping on. Always a pleasure to see you on Fools as well.
No worries, Fifey. No worries.
And from the rest of the regulars, from Ben, from Rich, Craig, Nick, and myself, thank you very much for joining Fools Rush In. And just one last time for tomorrow night. Come on, you Reds!
You Reds!
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with